So today I'm going to be talking about episode 21, which is The Greater Good. This is the second flashback episode for Saeed. And what this episode actually does with the flashbacks, it establishes, it finally establishes why every single one of these people was in Australia and why they were going back to Los Angeles. So Saeed was just like the final person that we didn't know this from. And of course, we don't know why Rose and Bernard were in Australia at this point, but we will find that out. And I'm not really counting Rose because she's not really a main character, honestly. But everybody else, we know why they were in Australia and why they are going to Los Angeles on this particular plane. And it's interesting connection here throughout a lot of these backstories is that very few of these characters were actually planning on being on this plane. Uh, Saeed in particular, this is a whole situation that he didn't expect to be on with the CIA scooping him up like this. And that's true for like every other character, like Sawyer, however long Sawyer was planning on staying in Australia, he got kicked out of Australia, so you assume that was earlier than he was planning. Again, somebody like Jack, he wasn't planning on going to Australia to search for his father, but so, and I'm sure that has to do with Jacob and the candidates and all that. But it's just interesting to think about is that nobody uh, was really planning this trip except maybe Rose and Bernard. Those are like the few people that you could see as uh, planning this, and Sun and Jin as well. This was definitely planned for them. This whole because it's dropping off the watches for them for Sun's father. But anyway, but this episode in particular, this was another good episode. I guess not, not the best, but definitely not the worst. A pretty average episode. It is definitely coming off of that. It's kind of like, again, you get these like middle episodes where you have something big that happened and something big that's gonna happen. So you have like the calm after the storm and the calm before the storm. This and the next episode is very much like this is the calm after the storm and the calm before the storm. That is the series finale. I mean season finale, not series finale. Um, but it's still significant stuff. You get Boone's funeral. You get the Locke. Locke's jig is up pretty much because Saeed ends up kind of interrogating him, takes him to the plane, and he wants to know about the hatch. Saeed's not buying what Locke is selling, and so it ends with Saeed telling Locke to take him to the hatch, which I guess if you're watching, maybe you think, oh, maybe Locke doesn't do it, maybe Locke gets out of this one, but at some point off screen, Locke takes Saeed to see the hatch, and that kind of opens the door a little bit more. And of course, Saeed knowing about the plane and where it is leads to Charlie finding it in the finale as well. So all these little things kind of like connect. All these threads are setting up. This is just like early stages of preparing for the finale because you see a little bit of Claire being afraid that someone might take the baby, which again does happen as well. But and you get some some stuff with the baby as well. He's still not named at this point. Charlie's just calling him Turnip Head. But the core of it is Sayid and is Sayid's interrogation kind of Locke. Shannon doesn't believe what Locke said because Jack very publicly called out Locke about what happened, which I feel like a lot of the funerals don't end too well. You know, a lot of funerals on Lost have dramatic endings. Because for a brief second there, I was thinking about how in season around this same time in season 2, you get Libby and Ana Lucia's funeral that ends with them seeing the boat in the distance. But yeah, honestly, this whole episode is really just the aftermath of Do No Harm. You know, you see a lot of characters kind of dealing with and processing the death of Boone. I think it's Kate is talking to Jack about how, you know, no one in the group is really sure what's going on. They need like reassurance or whatever, and Jack's not in a good place, having donated all that blood. He needs to recuperate, to recover. But he's still, you know, he can't move on even for a moment because he's still set on blaming Locke, putting all this on Locke because he doesn't want to, you know, he doesn't want to blame himself, even though he still does at the same time. But yeah. And the flashbacks, nothing special. I mean, you can kind of see how this parallels with the story going on in the present day. You know, it's always good to get flashbacks that serve that dual purpose. You know, to explain the character, develop the character backstory, while also serving as some parallel to what's going on in the main show. Because in this flashback, Sayid is really struggling between doing what he wants for his own self-interest and doing what he knows is right. And that kind of echoes again in here in the present day, because there's a part of him that kind of maybe wishes he let Shannon kill Locke, which is, I mean, not really the best thought there, but I mean, he's not sure if this relationship is going to recover, which, I mean, I feel like it recovers relatively fine in 2 or 3 episodes, honestly. But yeah, I mean, it's a good episode. I mean, there's nothing crazy, special, amazing about it, but still decent, solid. I like the stuff with Sawyer interacting with the baby, like he's calming Aaron down, reading to him, or whatever. But yeah, up next you get another Kate episode. It's Born to Run. I assume these flashbacks are the flashbacks with Tom Brennan. That's what I assume this is gonna be. Yeah. Which is pretty much the penultimate episode. I don't know if you want to consider this the penultimate episode, since you got 3 parts of Exodus, and I know part 1 of Exodus is its own separate episode that aired a week before parts 2 and 3 of Exodus. So I guess Exodus part 1 would be the penultimate. I don't know why I'm discussing this right now, but yeah. So up next, Born to Run, and I will see you guys then.